When I was 17, I fell down the red pill pipeline and I managed to get myself out about 5 years later.
It's a very appealing thing to be the victim. That right there was a bar.
I first started questioning my beliefs when I went through a breakup. Me and a friend of mine, we went to a cabin party. I started crying in front of one of the girls who I liked there. This girl responded rather with like shame and disgust that the red pill told me that they would react. She was actually like really kind about it. And I feel like content creators in the red pill, they don't believe sincerely what they say and they're only saying it to get money.
One of the major reasons why I pretty much only want to interact when I'm on my live specifically, why I want to interact with as many red pill men as possible is because other men who have come in my lives, that is the thing that they say turned them away from red pill ideology, from the red pill ideology and red pill content, is when they came in my live and they saw how dumb the other dude sounded. One of those feel good stories. Don't say I ain't never gave y'all nothing good to watch. Some make you feel good, feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside. It's a feel good story, y'all. Come on now. Put a smile on your face. It ain't gonna be doom and gloom. We got a young man that actually escaped the red pill. Believe it or not. He escaped the red pill all on his own, it sounds like. He didn't wait to get in a relationship with a woman and then require a bunch of labor from her. He literally got out of it on his own. I think this is amazing. I think this is an amazing story. I loved watching it. If you listen to him, you could tell like everything he's saying is true, how he got into it, how he got out of it. But it's funny because you can also see how shallow the red pill movement is, how it's not really rooted in anything real. And all it does is just pander to men. It just appeals to men and their baser nature, which is like by definition pandering, because it doesn't really address what's really going on with men. You know what I mean? Like it just says something's going on with you. You're lonely. Oh, the reason you're lonely is because 80% of women are pursuing 20% of men. The reason you're lonely is because you're ugly and you're not really, and you couldn't do anything about that. Your mom and your dad, you know, they just weren't that attractive and you came out ugly too. Like, it never really gets to the core of the anxieties that young men and boys are feeling and going through, or men in general, older men too. It never actually addresses it, the economic anxieties, the lack of education, the lack of opportunity, so on and so on and so on. They never talk about that. It's just always like you're lonely and you've been told that you deserve coochie and you're not getting no coochie. It's the women's fault. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
When I was 17, I fell down the red pill pipeline and I managed to get myself out about 5 years later. The term red pill comes from the movie The Matrix. So it's basically saying that you have a truth or knowledge no one else seems to have. They would say that society is gynocentric, which means that society caters to women, that women only want the top 20% of guys. And this isn't true. I would say at 17, I was socially awkward, very introverted. I felt I was ugly in high school. So I went on YouTube and looked up tips regarding dating and women. It eventually led me down this deep dark hole. It was able to kind of take the weight of blame off of myself. Like actually women are the ones in control. You're actually the victim in this situation. It's a very appealing thing to be the victim. I didn't view it as like, I've got to put them down type of thing. Like
it's a very appealing thing to be the victim. That right there was a bar. And that's what all of this bullshit is rooted in. You being the victim, when in reality, you're the perpetrator, right? But if you could choose between being the victim and the problem, you're going to choose being the victim every single time. Of course, because you don't want to acknowledge that you're the problem. And that's why this shit is so dangerous.
It was saying that, hey, we understand why you feel bad. If you just learn what we have to give you, you'll be the one winning here soon. Before you know it, you're commenting, you're reading more of it, but at the same time, you're distrustful of the women around you. You're distrustful of people around you because you think they don't know what you know. It just degrades your own mental health. You start, without even realizing it, isolating yourself. I actually felt really embarrassed if people caught me, which kind of is a telltale sign that's probably you should be watching it. I first started questioning my beliefs when I went through a breakup. Me and a friend of mine, we went to a cabin party. I started crying in front of one of the girls who I liked there. This girl responded rather with like shame and disgust that the red pill told me that they would react. She was actually like really kind about it. And that
See, they tell men that no man, no woman wants to hear a man cry. They don't care if you cry. Let me tell you something, man. The only person, the only group of people that will care when you cry more than like 99% of the time is a woman. You pick the woman. I don't know what the woman is to you. I don't know her relationship to you. Your mama cares. Your granny's gonna care. Your female friend will care. Your sister will care. The only a stranger on the street. If a man is crying, I guarantee you, the only person that would reach out and like talk to him would be a woman. If anybody were gonna do it, it wouldn't be a man. Men do not care when men cry. The group of people to make fun of you, the group of people to ostracize you, the group of people to put you down, men. The group of people that at worst will ignore you, but at best will actually extend a hand, women. It's the complete opposite of what the red pill teaches.
kind of made me think, what if I'm wrong? And then afterwards, I was bar hopping with a group of guys, and a few of them were red pilled. It was the first time actually meeting other red pill guys, and I could just kind of see how bitter and angry they were. There was this one guy, and he was trying to do pickup techniques. It was obvious that the girls weren't liking it at all, but he kept getting more and more aggressive. I'm like, is this how I see the world? And it kind of disgusted me. I feel very guilty and ashamed because it's just like, you really thought that, man? Like, this is totally unnuanced. The reason I say it's compared to a cult, they don't like outsiders. They don't like outside thought. A lot of the comments started also sounding the same too. There was no original thought. There's a lot of, you guys make me feel like I'm at home, complaining about women, reappeal the 19th. That's the amendment that allows women to vote. There was a lot of rage. I have a mom, I have women friends, so it would be kind of like, I don't want to take away their rights. And then over time, they got really disgusting. I don't feel comfortable saying some of the other stuff I saw, just vile, misogynistic comments. That was another thing that helped me realize my beliefs in the red pill were wrong. When I first started to decide to actively stop watching red pill content, it was like flooding my feed. I would just click not interested, not interested. But regardless, they just kept appearing over and over. So yeah, it took me roughly about a year. I'm on ex-red pill forums to help other people out like I would have helped me out. Helping others too is kind of maybe a way of like rectifying it. So something I wish that someone would told me when I was in the red pill, not everyone who tells you that you're right is your friend. I feel like content creators in the red pill, they don't believe sincerely what they say, and they're only saying it to get money.
So you mean grifting? So a man a man that was formerly in the red pill is pretty much openly saying that the red pill is a grift, and all the people that push red pill content are grifters. They're panders. This is what I've been saying this about red pill men this whole time. They call you a pander. They call me a pander. They call other people, they call you a simp. They do all those things first so that you can't call them that. That's their game. I never thought to call them panders, even though I knew they were. I just never thought to call them that. You know what I'm saying? They're the simps. They simp to men. They allow men to run all over them. They allow, you know what I mean? Like they are the exact people that they claim everybody else to be. It's really ridiculous.
And time out of you. Feminism is not bad. It's required in today's society. Also, men and women have different preferences, and sometimes you won't meet them. That's nothing personal. I think community is the solution for this. The isolation and self-involved nature of these is what's leading people down these rabbit holes. There are still lots of men, especially young men, who are being introduced to these philosophies. And if I can avoid anyone from feeling the loneliness and rage and isolation I felt when I was that young, that's a win.
Something he said in there that rang really true in my brain was he said that one of the canon moments in his journey of unpacking his misogyny was how he saw other men interact with women and just, you know what I mean? And just saw like how toxic they looked and sounded, or he listened to the things that men said and he heard how dumb it sounded when he didn't say it. And that's why, for me, that's why my platform exists in my brain. Like, it exists for that reason. I figured that out a long time ago. yeah, we go on the lives and we kiki and all that stuff. But one of the major reasons why I pretty much only want to interact when I'm on my live specifically, why I want to interact with as many red pill men as possible, is because other men, because this is what other men have said, and even I'll give you my testimony in a second. But other men who have come in my lives, that is the thing that they say turned them away from red pill ideology, from the red pill ideology and red pill content, is when they came in my life and they saw how dumb the other dude sounded. When they noticed that the other guy could never make a cogent argument, when they noticed that the other guy wasn't consistent, when they saw how I would talk circles around them, and it is, I'm not patting myself in the back, I'm telling you, this is what they, if you guys have ever seen my lives when these dudes talk about it, they have said this. When I make them, I point out their circular logic, and I'm like, see how you just got right back at, you went right back to the point, like you didn't progress at all in your logic. It was like I chop that logic down, and then you go, and then you go right back to the beginning. It That is something that really wakes men up sometimes, because they're like, wait. So if I were up there, because I believe the same shit that this dude believes, if I were up there, he would do the same thing to me, which would mean that what I believe doesn't really make sense. That, like, this is what somebody told me on my live. This is what he said. Me, myself, I didn't have a chance to fall into the red pill when I was younger, because it didn't, the actual like term or whatever, the community, it didn't exist. But I've been socialized to be misogynistic. I've been socialized to be a misogynist since day one of my life. But one of the things that deterred me and turned me away from being misogynistic, and this was early on, was having friends, and specifically having this one friend who ended up being red pill. And at the time, red pill didn't exist again, but he ended up being red pill because he was already in the pipeline. And having conversations with him, and if I thought what he thought prior to him saying the thing, it instantly evaporated once he said it out loud to me. I would be like, wait, that's stupid. Wait, that's wrong. Wait, that doesn't sound right. And I would always hear my wife's voice in the back of my head, you know, because we had these conversations. You know what I'm saying? My wife and I had these conversations that he and I were having, but she had them and we had them from the perspective of a husband and a wife, not like from the perspective of a man, right? It wasn't like me as a man, it was like us in a partnership having these discussions. And so when he would say stuff like, I deserve the cookie for providing for my family, I was like, that doesn't make sense. Because look at, like, I was like, no, my wife does like all of this stuff. And she cooks and cleans and buys everything for the home, and she loves me, and you know what I mean? Like, just all, like, she's emotionally taking care of me. Like, I was like, no, that's not, mm-mm, no, that's not it. When I heard him say it though, and my wife's voice my wife's voice spoke through me in that discussion. And I was like, no, that's not true. And that was one of those moments for me. I was like, hold on, wait. Yeah, you need to show up more, because that you're gonna be thinking like that guy. And that guy is a terrible spouse and a terrible boyfriend. Well, he's not married, but like, that's how my mind thought. And that's what kind of steered me away from red pill. And it just kept happening like that. Like, he ended up, like, he was the first person I heard talk about gynocentric society. And I was like, that's not true. That's stupid. That doesn't make sense. He was the first person that talked about that. He was literally, he taught me about the manosphere. I didn't know what that was. He was in it and he told me about it like fucking like 6 years ago. He's like, yeah, I'm in the manosphere, and that's part of the manosphere. And I was like, what is the manosphere? The hell is goofy ass shit. And I started to consume, some of the content so I could learn about what it was. And I was like, oh no, absolutely not. This is dumb. Sometimes it helps just to like see other people say and do something stupid, and it's not you, And that's how you can clock it. Because then it's not a personal attack. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just like you're just watching two people and you're like, that's dumb. Cool, I'll move away. He's that guy, him, he saw his friends hitting on women. He saw the women didn't like it. He saw the friends get more agitated. Like he witnessed all of that. And he was like, yeah, that's obviously what they told me about that. Those pickup lines don't work. Women don't like them. You know what I'm saying? It just makes the men more mad. It seems like the men are really angry and entitled. Like he was able to see that because somebody else did that. So it's really important for red pill men to come across content that they don't agree with. And that's why I'm going to continue to make content because they need to see it. Even if it's rare. I know it's rare that they see my content or whatever, but I'm still going to make it. I'm still going to host my lives. I'm still going to try to interact with as many of them as possible and bring them into the community. Right? That's what I'm going to do. And this man just inspired me to double down on my efforts for real. So shout out to him. Mad respect.